And Beckham saw Sullivan off his line. Oh!
This is a private member's bar.
That is absolutely phenomenal.
Exclusively for the supporters of the greatest football team in the world.
Cleared, Giggs with a shot. Sheringham!
Manchester United.
Beckham into Sheringham. And Solskjaer has won it!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know if I can count any higher than that, D. And if you factor in 3, that's 10 goals in 2 matches. I mean, kind of exciting. I don't feel like we've been able to say that ever under this current regime. I know it was only a League One team, but honestly, that's the first time I've watched a match where I'd never had to worry about or ever being in any doubt. What say you, D?
No, exactly. I think it's the most goals he scored on a Ten Hag since he's become manager. Yep. It's the most goals they scored at home since, I want to say, the Southampton match. Where they beat Southampton 9-0 under Solskjaer.
Yeah, I think that was the Roma match, I think is what I saw.
Well, there was Roma match, but I think, didn't they score 9 goals under with Ole? They beat Southampton 9-0.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, well, we'll
back
have
in
to...
2020,
yeah.
I think it was 2021.
Yeah,
I think it was the last
yeah.
time they scored that many goals at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
So I think it was a 2021 season. But no, it was good. It was a good match. But like you said, it's Barnsley. I think Anthony finally found his level in Barnsley. So I think League One might be his talent.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
yeah.
But no, it did. I'm not going to knock it because I don't want to sound too just critical and negative. But no, it was good to see the fact 2 clean sheets, 10 goals, which is, like you said, we haven't said something like that in a while. But
well, that's the type of result that you should get against, Barnsley. Basically, I mean, I feel like the United of the last several teams, like they would be waiting until basically the 80th or even added time to try and win that match.
Oh no, I definitely agree with that. My thing as well is that I think United they're in a catch-22. These kind of matches, like if they won 7-0, which they did tonight, everyone's going to say, well, it was only Barnsley. Like they should be beating Barnsley 7-0. But if they get beat by Barnsley, say 1-0 or 2-1, there'll be a laughing stock. Although the media would just have an absolute field day with it, and then other teams, the supporters will have an absolute field day as well on social media and so forth. So United, they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. They won. They're still going to get ridiculed saying it's only Barnsley. If they end up losing to Barnsley, then they get absolutely, rightfully so, get absolutely ridiculed. But it was a good match. It was good to see some of the, again, another couple of academy graduates playing, LeCollier playing left back and so forth. So good to see a little bit of fluidity as well in the team. That's one thing that United have really lacked this, like under Ten Hag, is a real sense of purpose going forward. It seems to be, they almost set up for a counter-attack, but it was good to see a little combination play. Wing play was brilliant as well. It was all different aspects, different variations of the attack. You had counter-attack, you had
a little bit of everything.
Possession. Yeah, so it was good to watch. No, definitely was one of the better matches I've seen under Ten Hag.
Yeah, again, I mean, like we keep saying, it's only Barnsley, but that's the type of results that you're supposed to get a team like that, and it could be it could be a play, like a foundation or something that instills a little bit of confidence going into the rest of the season. And, maybe for some of those guys, like a Rashford or whatever, maybe it gets him started. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that it will, but maybe it does, because sometimes when you get that, I mean, no matter who it is, it starts something. I don't know, man.
No, I agree with you. It can definitely be the catalyst to kick on a season, especially considering how bad United started this season. Mm-hmm. One of the things that they say about Barnsley is a lot of people might not remember is that they were in the semi-final of the FA Cup last year. They got beat by Coventry. So United could, they were 90 minutes away from playing United in the FA Cup final last year. So they're not exactly walkovers, like they're League One, but they're definitely going to be challenging to get promoted this year to get into the Championship next season. But they're going to have to obviously fight that with Wrexham, because Wrexham's sort of taking that league by the throat.
Yeah, especially with all the stars that were at that game the other day. I think I saw what was there? Gary Neville there, Bex. I even read Tom Brady was there, and God knows who.
I could be wrong. I think Tom Brady's got like if he's investing in Birmingham.
Yes, I think he does have an ownership interest in that. So I mean, for that, it actually makes sense. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's obviously friends with Beckham just because of the whole venture of Beckham here in the MLS. But anyway, back to United. Who cares about Tom Brady and Birmingham?
Yeah. Exactly. But no, yeah. I mean, to the bigger point is, about confidence building is, like, I would love to think that this gets Rashford going. I mean, one thing that, that kind of stood out to me, is, Casemiro kind of, being the captain role. There was, I'm sure you noticed it too, especially with the Anthony penalty. It looked like Rashford wanted to come up and take it, and Casemiro kind of was like, "No, let him have it." So I don't know. I kind of thought that was kind of cool that he did that and kind of showed his leadership qualities a little bit there. So there's a lot of positive things to take away from this match. I mean, obviously you win 7-0. Of course there is.
No, exactly. I think it's just. I think it also was good man management by Ten Hag, which is something we don't really ever correlate with him as a manager of United. But he did a good job with. He knows Casemiro's under a lot of pressure from his performance in Liverpool. He definitely protected him by taking him off at halftime. Now he's doing a better job of. He made him captain today, so he's showing he's instilled a little bit of confidence on him. He's showing that he actually supports him and trusts him with the guidance of the team on the pitch.
Yeah.
And like you said, he definitely showed some leadership quality there by stepping in, saying no, and fair play to Rashford too, because Rashford could have pulled a Neymar Mbappe debacle where they could have argued over it.
Yeah,
They let out the ticket, and it's definitely going to be something we'll see. Hopefully, like you said, it could be the catalyst to keep Rashford going. We'll see this Saturday at Selhurst Park how they're going to go. United definitely owe Crystal Palace a good drubbing after last season.
Yeah, I believe that was that 4-0, I believe. Is that 4-0. What it was? Yeah.
That was the match that Jamie Carragher came out and said that he believes that Casemiro should just go ahead and let football go before football lets him go kind of mindset. So
I mean, as of right now, so far he's not wrong.
Well, no, he's not, and I think one of the big things I've seen from Casemiro this season is the first match against Fulham I thought he played well. Brighton I didn't think he did. He didn't really put too many wrongly, but again I think the tactics didn't help him there. Again, we talked about it in the last podcast. I do think he's getting unfairly treated. I think the tactics that were employed by Ten Hag aren't favorable to Casemiro's qualities and his attributes. He's not known to be a quick, cover every blade of grass defensive midfielder, which I know that's what he did at Real Madrid, but he also had the likes of Toni Kroos and Luka Modric around him.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he also had a back four that was unprecedented. And he's had Marcelo, Carvajal, Sergio Ramos, Varane.
Yep.
He had all those names at Real Madrid.
Take your pick, yeah,
Yeah, he was arguably part of one of the best Real Madrid teams of all time. So I don't know if people can just turn around and say, "Oh no, he's dropped it that much," or that's what happens when players go to United. They sort of fall apart. Like, has that happened in the past? Yes, you definitely know players come to United and end up sort of falling off the wayside. But at the same time, I don't think Casemiro is that way. I think United need to really get back into the rhythm of playing the way they can, playing to their strengths. The Ten Hag's tactics, you can clearly see he's changed it up. I like to think that he's actually listened to our podcast and realized that maybe there's a few things he picked up on. But,
maybe. Yeah, probably not.
I like to think that way.
Yeah.
Let me dream, Keith. But I do like to see the fact that Ten Hag was able to be man enough to realize his tactics the tactics he employed aren't.
Yeah, it wasn't working. I mean, obviously, he had Ugarte and Casemiro in there today, and I kind of hope, like we talked about this on the last one. You were the one who brought it up. I mean, I kind of would like to see it again this Saturday. I see how it works. Why? I'm the type of person is like, if you, especially when you're in a rut and you try something different and it works, why stop it or break it until it doesn't work? It stops working. No,
No, exactly. And one of the things that I think a lot of people, maybe I don't say a lot of people, me and my cousin Sean were talking about this in our chat on WhatsApp. It's no coincidence that there's one player that Ten Hag's implemented in the midfield, and it's actually, and I mentioned earlier about there's a rhythm to United's play. There was a little bit of cohesion in the midfield. Yeah, it's Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen, I thought he was great today. He scored 2 goals. Yeah. I thought he was great against Southampton. A few times I thought maybe the speed of play was getting to him. Ten Hag had him playing that deep lying playmaker role that, for example, that Real Madrid do with Toni Kroos and Luka Modric. They don't have the legs to be able to go box to box or cover every blade of grass. But Ten Hag's trying to implement that sort of situation, that kind of situational awareness for Eriksen. What I mean by situational awareness, he knows he can't go box to box, so he's thinking, okay, what's the best situation tactically that I can implement them, and he's done it, and I think it's actually helped United become more fluid in terms of keeping possession and going forward.
Well, like we've been over ad nauseum, is like he has been up until, I guess you can say, this match really. I mean, he's been so dead set in his ways, and I'd like to think this is a turning point for him. Is that actually making a starting 11 to what you have? You can have your convictions and your philosophies, but if you don't have the type of player that can play in that philosophy, then you're just setting yourself up for disaster.
No, exactly. And like you said, the last 2 matches were people are going to look at it on paper that they were just easy matches. United should be winning. On paper, United should be destroying these teams the way they did. They should be scoring 10 goals in 2 matches. But at the same time, as everyone knows, the Premier League is not one of those leagues where you're guaranteed a result every single match. And the League Cup, just not even League Cup, just cup competitions in general in England are. You have the lure of the fairy tale of the FA Cup. We always have for example, Coventry. Last year in the FA Cup taking United to penalties, and then you have the League Cup. You have a lot of teams too that like to sort of live their Cinderella story out. So there's no guarantee. I was just glad to see United get a good convincing win. No injuries that I've seen outside of. I don't know how Ugarte give away. I thought I feared the worst when he went down.
Yeah,
but I don't
honestly,
know how that's a free kick.
When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, we just brought this guy in. It's basically his, a cameo, and this guy is already gone, of course.
Yeah. So I'm
it looked like he got a good nick because he was. It looked like he had a gash under his knee.
Yeah, exactly. And not just that. I was worried more too about his ankle or even the top of his foot. Maybe
because you could clearly see he was stepped on his boot. So when I saw the replay of that, I was like, Jesus Christ, please no.
Yeah, I know. Just the way United's going. So. But overall, it was definitely good. It was a good result. Good to see Rashford back in the score sheet. Garnacho again. He's proven.
Oh my God, this guy is just—he's unbelievable.
Yeah, his first goal was a little bit of luck put into it. Rashford was trying to do it, but the fact that he was the first one to react to the ball bouncing his way, and he was able to have the awareness too to be able to not try to. He should technically had a hat trick. He put a shot over the bar. In the second half. But he did well. His first goal, and then the second goal was great. He burst on through, kept himself. He started his own half, got through 1-on-1 with the keeper.
Well, and he was even involved in assist wise too. Not even mention the goals. No,
it was just he played very well. As I said, Anthony played pretty well as well. But I think for me. Personally, just watching the match, I think Eriksen was man of the match for me. I think he was definitely the cog in the midfield that just kept everything moving. He kept all the fluidity I mentioned earlier with the team. There was no more. The one thing I was glad I didn't see today was it drives me nuts when United have the ball and you can see fear almost takes over some of the players where they don't want to go forward the ball, so they play the easy pass backwards.
Yeah.
No, they have time. They receive the ball on their backs to the field, and instead of turning and taking a little bit of confidence, taking it forward, they pass it back, and then you see the centre back like Harry Maguire or John Evans stand on the ball. Or we didn't see that today.
I can't tell you how many times we've seen that, and it's so frustrating to watch because you have a build up and then you just play the ball and then it's over.
Yeah. There's too many times especially last season. And what's crazy to think, and I might be going a little bit too far, but like I still think I think if United were to play Barnsley, let's say in like January or February of last season, Barnsley would have probably beat them.
Oh, I don't disagree with that, especially with how things were going last year. Oh, I don't disagree with that statement at all. Absolutely not.
I'm almost positive. Didn't the Newcastle dumped United out of or was it Newcastle?
Yeah, I believe it was Newcastle. Yeah,
I think Newcastle dumped them out this time last year. Their defense of the League Cup didn't last too long.
No.
So again, this could be another. Like we talked about at the beginning of the season, what our aspirations would like to be for the team, and this could be another cup that they could just go ahead and earmark as being one that they could potentially win this season. I wouldn't have a problem with win the League Cup again. It's something to build on. Get some confidence in the players, maybe attract some other players to come to the club, considering they are won silverware.
Yeah,
but at the same time, you can break down the whole team. I thought Rashford played well. I thought the back line looked really well. I thought Collier definitely he played well, considering that's not his natural position.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely playing out of position. But yeah, I thought he looked okay. I mean, I thought center backs. I thought they looked fine. Honestly, I can't really knock too much on the team. I mean, at least in today's match, I know.
No, exactly.
I know in which we can get into in a little bit. I know we plan to get into, obviously, the left back position is obviously still a concern, and obviously Ten Hag chose to start Collier, who's out of position, versus somebody who's another youth player in the academy who's its natural position. So that was a little interesting to see it.
No, it was, but like I said, I think Ten Hag was trying to be as productive is the way I would use here.
Yeah.
In terms of like getting some players some game time that aren't probably going to see a lot of minutes during the season. In terms of I don't think Collier is going to start left back against Crystal Palace this weekend.
No.
So I think that's why he was trying his best to rotate the team a little bit to get the players, because believe it or not, I think some people think that players should get more rest, and do I agree? Yes, especially around the Christmas time. But another thing that can hurt players is especially if they're used to playing week in, week out, and then all of a sudden they don't play a match at all. It sometimes can have a detrimental effect, and I think that's what Ten Hag was trying to make sure it didn't happen today. That's why he played Dallo, his natural right position, but then took him off and brought on Mazraoui, and then kept Collier on there, but because he was like, he's playing well. He was a bit. He was young. He definitely, you can tell he's young. He's a little naive with some of the challenges he was putting on. He was giving away a couple of free kicks, but that's to be considering what we've seen of Dallo and against Southampton giving away a penalty. Like, I'm not going to hold Collier to a higher standard than I'm going to hold Dallo. So especially considering it's not his natural
position. Absolutely, of course not. And I mean, I agree with that. Squad rotation, especially with the upcoming stretch of games. I believe it's like six that we have. So I mean, you're gonna have some sort of squad rotation, and you're probably not gonna have your best starting 11 out there just because of 6 matches. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, who is it? The guy in La Liga the other day is this is a whole other topic, but which we don't have to get into, was talking about basically cutting back on league matches in Spain because there's just too many of them. I can't remember what the player was. It came out a day or two ago.
Well, I agree with him. Well, I know there's some players coming out, like for example, Alisson, the Liverpool goalkeeper, came out and he hit out at UEFA for the new implementation of the Champions League. They're getting away from the group stage. They're pretty much doing almost like a league type format.
Yeah.
But I think that's what Ten Hag sort of, and this refers back to what you were talking about with less matches, whatever. I think Ten Hag had his eye on the European Europa League.
Yeah.
The Europa League coming up. Because at the same time, you mentioned 6 matches in a short period of time. You're going to be playing Thursday, Sunday, and then Thursday, Sunday kind of mindset and there's going to be travel involved too. Along with all that. So it takes a lot out of the players.
Well, yeah, especially some of those matches, might be a few hours in a plane ride or, whatever it may be. And yeah, I mean, that does take it out of the squad.
No, 100% it doesn't. And that's one thing we mentioned this a long time ago, that when we did a whole podcast about the injuries, and I was saying the one thing I would love United to do would be to try to reach out there to the States and look into some of these doctors or physios or whoever's involved with like the NBA and the NFL, because these players are traveling. Like imagine, for example, the Seahawks play Miami. The Seahawks play Miami. They have to travel all the way from Seattle, Washington, the northwest of America, and go to the most southern point.
Yeah, it's a 5+ hour plane ride. Yeah. And baseball players too. They play 3-game series or 4-game series or whatever it may be, and then if they're not home, then yeah, they're hopping on a plane and they're going to the next city. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, the baseball's a great one because they go on those. You always hear it all the time, like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Braves. They go on their West Coast road trip.
Yeah.
Where they're over they're in a different time zone, playing in teams like Colorado one night, and then all of a sudden they're going all the way back down then to the SoCal and playing like the Padres and the Dodgers and so forth. So same mindset here. Like I would love to they're obviously doing load management in those sports, and we talked about that in a couple of podcasts ago. But and I think this is where Ten Hag's mindset's going into the whole load management. He's getting players, getting them a little bit of trying to work on their fitness, allowing them to play matches like this. Like Dallo didn't have to play this match. He didn't. But I believe Ten Hag wanted him to just keep active.
Keep him in a rhythm. Yeah, keep him sharp. And obviously, there'll be other matches or whatever where he can get some rest or whatever. But yeah, keep him in his routine.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what he's doing. And you can see. When I was looking up the team like earlier, when I was looking up like the starting 11 and all that kind of stuff, I thought Collier might get moved and they might bring on somebody playing left back, but I was like maybe he might try Mazraoui left back, but I was like no, I don't think so. But yeah, he kept Collier left back the whole time, took off Dallo, and then he took off Johnny Evans and brought on DeLitt.
Yeah, I thought DeLitt actually, he's so far today's game and the other game, he's looked okay.
Well, he's definitely looked okay considering the fact of what happened with him when he played Germany for his national team. He gave away the ball for one of Germany's goals, and Ronald Koeman, who we all know as a massive see you next Tuesday, but he took him off and like pretty much said I took him off to protect him, but at the same time. No, people were absolutely ridiculing Ten Hag for doing the same thing to Casemiro. So I think it's funny how the same people who are ridiculing Ten Hag for doing it to Casemiro are the ones applauding Koeman for doing it to DeLitt. So
I know.
That's few and far between. But I thought everyone. There was one of those matches, like you said, it was a good feel factor around Old Trafford. It seemed that the crowd was into it. Obviously, they were getting entertained with the attacking. I looked up the stats earlier, and it was actually pretty impressive. United had like around 65% possession, and I think it was like 25 or 26 shots with like half on target.
Oh yeah, I know. You start looking through some of the numbers today, and it's absolutely insane. It's like I get Garnacho. There was actually 2 Garnacho ones that stood out to me. I was perusing old Statman Dave's Twitter feed. Garnacho has scored more goals in the last 4 days than Sancho has scored this entire year. He has 3 matches.
Don't let the British media hear you say that though, because they think he's having another renaissance over Chelsea after playing for 15 fucking minutes.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
All of a sudden he's going to win the Ballon d'Or this year now with Chelsea.
And this one's actually pretty cool. His goals and assists in all competitions so far, he's got 7, and Mbappe's he's got 5. I don't know, but anytime you're in the same sentence as one of the best players in the game right now, I think it says a lot, and especially considering how young this is, or young Garnacho is, it's just super exciting to have a young kid and talent like that in the team.
No, definitely, and. No, I like the fact too. He's young, like you said, but I also I personally, some people don't like it, but I like his personality too. He's got a bit of character to him. And you can after when he scored his second goal, I thought the one thing I thought was genuinely funny, it was like a big brother getting onto his little brother with Casemiro. Casemiro went over to celebrate, and Casemiro knew he was going to go do his typical Ronaldo celebration of sitting on the advertising board and crossing his arms and looking up.
Yeah.
And he was grabbing him by the arm to say, "Oh, don't do it." Don't. And he did it. And he let him go, and he started laughing. But again, I think that's a testament to the kind of character that you mentioned earlier with Casemiro. Ten Hag showed some support with him, give him the captain armband. But from what I've heard from a lot of, you hear a lot of inside reports about United saying that some of the team players didn't like the Ten Hag treatment of him by yanking him off during against against Liverpool. But at the same time, I think that was the best decision for Casemiro, because if he ended up making another mistake,
it would have been even worse than what it already was.
Yeah, exactly. Because the way I would describe it, and I said this the other day to my dad, is that the best way I could describe Ten Hag taking Casemiro off that match was like a trainer throwing the towel in for one of his boxers during a fight. Let him live the fight another day. Like, don't let him in there taking the beating.
It's like, this is not the day. Enough's enough. Enough's enough. I gotta protect you, for your own good.
Yeah, let him live the fight another day. Let him let him lick his wounds. Let him get home. Let him just get mentally right again, and then just hit the ground running. And I think we're seeing the fruits of Ten Hag's labor here by doing so, because it takes a big character to come back from the performance he put on there.
Yeah, when you have a result like that, and then obviously your manager gives you the armband when Bruno's on the bench or whatever, and you have a game like today. It's I know it's only Barnsley, who is a League One side, but I mean, they're also not. I wouldn't say they're pushovers either, but I mean, if it just feels good, and mentally for someone like him who has been through some of the mistakes and just different things that has happened over not even just this year, over the last season as well. It's got to feel good for him. Like, he's got to have a little extra pep in his step this evening,
No, exactly. And it's good too that United have a back-to-back good performances. Granted, the first 35 minutes against Southampton, and we can get into that match now. I think we've
why not? Yeah,
enough on the Barnsley, but the Southampton match, I have to eat my words here. I have to say, I have to hold my hands up when I said Anana is not the goalkeeper.
That penalty that changed the direction of the game.
Oh, 100%. That's what I like to be able to see. Like, I'm a first to put my hands up saying that I was ridiculing Onana the other night, saying that last week, saying that I think United maybe even go out to the market and look for another goalkeeper.
Yep.
But if he keeps performing, he made a great save when Southampton attacked. Was it the first 10 minutes? He made a good save to his right, big strong hand behind it, and he made obviously the penalty save, which again, I have to give testament to them there. It's not just like goal. A lot of people think goalkeepers are just like all they do. They go off to themselves or protect the species. They go off by themselves for 45 minutes to an hour before training, and then they come join in with the team later on. But a lot of stuff what I've been hearing now is goalkeepers are almost they're becoming very studious of the game. And what I mean by studious is that and this is also down to the goalkeeper and coaching. Goalkeeper coaches have taken a different angle to coaching goalkeepers in terms of implementing different aspects of the game. So what a lot of goalkeeper coaches do is they go ahead, and if they're going to say today, or say Southampton, for example, what was it? Was it Archer who missed a penalty?
Yes, I believe it
manager
was. Cameron Archer. Yep, I got it right here.
Yeah, so Archer missed a penalty, but the goalkeeper coach would have been his responsibility, and this is something I've heard from several different coaches now, that no coach at a decent level like college and even in the academies over here, is that the goalkeeper coaches have been implemented into the coaching structure of not just scouting the other team, but also scouting different tendencies of teams, from free kicks to corners to how. And the whole thing is that it's a great way to think about it. Is that from a coaching standpoint, the managers going to these goalkeeper coaches and say, okay, I want you to put your mindset on as if you were a goalkeeper. How would you want to organize this team? How would you want to organize your defense during this corner? And look at the corner, watch it. How would you want to organize your defense on a free kick here? And then it goes down to penalties. a lot of these goalkeeper coaches are going back and at the top level, and you see it all the time with Pickford with England. He has the whole the water bottle, and he has the entire like every player's name.
Yeah.
And it says like their last five, and it just has an arrow saying like last five, and it says left, right, up, middle, whatever. And that's all goalkeeping coaching. So, and that, from what I've read too about Onana, is that he's really grabbed the bull by the horns in that aspect of being studious, of watching more football, listening to his coaching staff of saying, hey, you need, it's almost like a scouting report, but like a more in depth for goalkeepers.
Actually like doing the homework and understanding, the technical and the fundamentals, I guess, of the game, Which you think, keepers is because they have a full vantage of the field. So, I mean, obviously they're going to see everything developing as it goes on.
No, exactly. And it's like, I was a goalkeeper coach myself, and that was one of the things that was like, you can always try to put yourself in that position, but it's a little difficult to like remove yourself from the field then, and then having somebody else go in there and try to implement your ideals, your philosophy, your tactics, everything else. But with what's going on, you could clearly see Onana. He didn't move very early. It wasn't trust me, it wasn't the best penalty. But I've seen I've seen goalkeepers at the top level guess even before the player even though he's thinking, okay, a foul's going left.
Yeah, and they still don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they move way too early to the point where it allows the attacker to change their mind last minute. And but he made a great save. It changed the whole dynamic of the game, because for the first, back the first 30 to 35 minutes, Southampton looked like they were going to go up and get a goal or two.
They really, they 100% did. Absolutely.
And this is back to what you were talking about. We can get into the left back position. Like Dalot was getting absolutely torched every single time by that young right winger of Southampton. He played pretty well, but it goes down to like the fact that United don't have a natural left back, and it's becoming a concern for me. For me personally, it's becoming a concern. Dallow's done great to fill in there, but it's to the point now that.
Well, I mean, if it's you're playing at a position, and you can only cover it to the best of your ability. I mean, I think he's done a decent job, but I mean, I mean, obviously it is a very big concern, and I read some things in post game today, and I think I read some articles where they're supposed to be expecting Shaw and Malacia back at some point in the next couple weeks. I don't know. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's a very big concern for this team.
It is just out of consistency, because I'm sure Ten Hag has built his tactics around having a left back. Like when Luke Shaw is fit and when he's playing well, he is a very good left back. He's
I don't think there's a question that he's probably one of the best in the country, in England, that is.
No, definitely.
When he's fully fit.
Yeah. When he's fully fit and he's not, he's playing consistently and he's doing well. And I think that's something, and I'm not defending Rashford whatsoever, because Rashford's had a bunch of stinkers, but I do think that has also played a big part in why Rashford hasn't played as well as he has, because of Luke Shaw constantly being injured. I think that the best way I could describe it is David Beckham and Gary Neville. I think if Gary Neville wasn't the right back at Man United when David Beckham was the right winger at Man United back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I don't think either one of them would be as revered or play as well as they did in terms of...
because they both, they fed off each other,
Exactly, yeah, and I think that happens. Like I was listening to good old Rio Ferdinand's podcast earlier, and he was doing a comparison of there's some people believe that Gabriel and Saliba from Arsenal are pretty much the next Vidic and Ferdinand partnership. And he even said, he goes, I think Ferdinand said, I agree with you. I think they're the two best centre back partnership in Europe at the minute. He goes, but it's not just the fact that they're playing well together. It's just you can see they support one another. When Gabriel scored the winner against Spurs, it's the first man to go over and grab him was Saliba, and you could just say like they were almost like it was like a little tandem. They were like like Batman and Robin. And I think in terms of Rashford, I think that he is, for lack of a better term, I think he's missing his Robin. He's been Batman, but he's missing his Robin in terms of he knows how Shaw plays. He's played in the Rashford's played in the left wing for quite some time now.
Yeah.
And his partner in crime has been Shaw, and over the last few months of last season and even the start of the season, he's had 2 to 3 different left backs play with him. So he's not really. You don't see they're not unnaturally on the same page, and I think that's
on
something
the same wavelength. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that's what you can see, as we go into the season. Maybe he's becoming more comfortable with Dalot playing left back. Maybe that's why Ten Hag prefers Dalot left back, because Rashford knows Dalot longer than he's. I don't think he wants to implement Razwawi into left back because of the fact that there is a certain dynamic that Rashford's play. Like, right, does Rashford defend 100% all the time? No. So Dalot understands that, so I don't think Dallow's going to be bombing forward as much as he can, whereas Mazraoui, he does have a tendency to get forward. But he also has a young man and like Garnacho playing right wing that's going to, he's young, greener in the ears, and he will give 100%. So I think Ten Hag's trying to play, I think he's trying to play his cards close to his chest without giving too much away, but at the same time, you and I have been on here, we've been criticizing the Rashford and all that kind of stuff. With the performance that he's put on the last, I thought he played pretty well against Southampton. He scored a goal. He looked dangerous every time he was going forward.
Yeah.
Against, granted, everyone's going to say, it's only Southampton, but we'll see. We'll see the same how Southampton.
Well, hey man, you gotta start somewhere. So I mean, sure, yeah. Is it Southampton? Sure. And again, like we've been over ad nauseum. Is it Barnsley? But you gotta start somewhere, and if those are the 2 games that gives him a little bit of confidence, he's basically, he's got 3 goals, and I think it was 3 goals in his 6 starts. So I mean that's that's encouraging. He was also unlucky not to get more against Southampton. Like I know Ramsdale made a great save on him in his near post. When where Lil Ahmad played him through, and it was in the first half, against Southampton, after the penalty save, and he just he just seemed to. I'm hoping that it's going to really kickstart him, but we'll see with the Southampton match. I was more impressed with what I seen in the second half than instead of what happened after the penalty save. After the penalty save, United sort of they took their chance. They did great with his header. United Southampton looked a little shell shocked. United didn't. United seemed to want to try to take the game by the throat. And they responded.
And it's something that we didn't see of a United team last year. The United team last year didn't go for that cutthroat mentality of going off and trying to get the second and third and the fourth and fifth goal.
Exactly.
The United team last year probably would have bit Barnsley 2-0. And Barnsley probably maybe have hit the post or hit the crossbar.
Yeah, it would have been a very uncomfortable 2-0 where that Barnsley could have probably, had a goal or two, and you're basically biting your fingernails off until they blow the final whistle.
Exactly. And against Southampton, it was one of the more professional, controlled second halves I've seen from United. In a long, long time. We actually said it in the last podcast. When's the last time we've seen United dominate a team? Granted, Southampton should have been up maybe 1-0 or unlucky not to be up 1-0 before United scored the 2 goals. But at the same time, you have to ride your luck sometimes, and United did that. And I've heard a stat about the Southampton match, which I thought was actually really interesting. They did not have a single shot on target since Archer's rebound from the penalty. So when Onana saved the penalty, went back to Archer, and he tried to head the ball back, and he looped it right back, and Onana got up pretty quick and held it. That was the last shot on target that Southampton had in that match.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, that's
And that was in the 33rd, 34th minute, whatever it was.
Yeah,
so
that's basically a 3/4 of a game, or I guess
2/3.
2/3. Yeah,
2/3 of the match. Then United, and that's what I mean by the controlled mindset. And it was a little bit, and United looked dangerous too in the second half. And Garnacho took his goal really well. So again, like you rightly said, these are the kind of matches like they're not gimmies. United are damned if they do and they damned if they don't. If United lost to Southampton, the headline the next morning would have been Ten Hag, dead man walking. Or
exactly. Ten Hag out, sacked, blah blah. All the.
Or you would have seen reports of Gareth Southgate seen accounting, Gareth Southgate seen having dinner with Dan Ashworth.
Gareth Southgate seen fluffing Dan Ashworth. I don't know.
But no, but you're not wrong. It's just that like that's the way the media is these days. Like no, there's so many different fabrications that come out of the just left and right, and it's just good to see for like the last two matches, 2 clean sheets, 10 goals, players that have been under scrutiny, playing well, getting goals, and then I liked also seeing. I think might be on an island here for this one, but I really like Ahmad. I think Ahmad is definitely he has to.
Yeah.
He has to mature in terms of his final product, but but when it comes to being dynamic and being very, he really does just he's the kind of young player, the young quick winger that United have been right for.
I don't think you're wrong in that, and the times where he's been on the pitch, I mean, it's definitely noticeable. It kind of like some of the frustration with why Garnacho wasn't starting earlier. It's just like, why is he not out there? Because it's just, and I kind of feel like with him too, like there's just, I don't know. I wish we would see him more in the lineup.
No, and I think we will as the season goes on. But I think what Ten Hag's doing right now is he's doing the right thing. He's getting players that have played a couple of minutes, more minutes than others, a bit of a rest, letting other players get some minutes under their legs, and he then just hopefully will keep rotating the team. And in terms of the games like this, I don't want him rotating. I don't think he should rotate the team as much in the Premiership outside of 2 or 3 players. I'd like to see a core of 6 or 7, maybe even 8 players play consistently week in, week out. And when in terms of the players that we rotated, I would guess it's going to be maybe when Shaw comes back, the left back position be one they might rotate a little bit. The right back position between Mazraoui and Dallo, and then the right wing I think might be another one. It's going to be either Garnacho or is it going to be Ahmad? Is it going to, So that's the 3 positions I think it's going to be.
I think like your 8 core players. You have your Brunos and your Brunos. I would say, Ugarte, probably Casemiro be out there. I mean, obviously with the 6 games, I mean, Kobe Mainoo will be out there. You got to have those cores, and then I guess you kind of rotate out. Just kind of popped in my head a little bit, with squad rotation coming up. Obviously, Casemiro, Ugarte, and those, they're not going to be able to play every game. Would you like to kind of see a little bit more of this type of lineup going into some of these matches, or what was your thought on that?
I would like to see what I've seen from Ugarte is a very mobile player. He's definitely not shy about getting forward as well, which is something I like to see. The one thing that it's going to be a conundrum for Ten Hag in terms of how the team is a little bit inflated in terms of midfield is how's he going to implement and keep everyone happy with the likes of Casemiro, Ugarte, Mount, Mainoo, Bruno, Ericsson. There's a plethora of players that they're going to want to. They're going to be knocking on his door saying, "Hey, I want to play."
Yeah,
I know there was rumors that Ericsson was going to try to leave this season. Based on the last 2 matches, I'm glad he didn't. But at the same time, once Mike gets back from injury again, once he comes back from injury, where's he fit on? Højlund is another man when he comes back from injury. How's he going to keep Xerxes? Is he going to keep Xerxes? I think Xerxes raw in terms of ability.
I think you can see a little bit of the potential there, but raw is the perfect word to describe him.
Yeah, because technically, I was thinking about this earlier today when I watched him play. He came on, he actually did pretty well. He had a chance at the end. But I was thinking in my head, I was like, he could easily have had 5 goals in the Premier League right now. He could be possibly even 6. And Holland is leading the league right now with 9. Yeah, Xerxes could have been right up there with him because he missed 2 chances against Liverpool, and then he scored against Fulham, and then he missed 2 or 3 chances against Southampton as well. Like Ramsdale made a couple of great saves, but that's 5 or 6 goals he could have in the Premier League alone. So he's get the one thing I have to give him credit on. He's getting into positions there. It's just he's not clinical enough.
He's not getting that final touch on the ball and finishing it basically.
Yeah. And that's something I'm hoping the fact that the United brought in Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Oh yeah, of course. Would you would you want to see, like a 2-4, like almost like a 4-4-2 setup at some point, or would you be opposed to that, like a Xerxes and Hoyland up top, or no?
The only way I would want to see that played is, and it would change the whole dynamic of the team, would be like a 4-1-2-1-2. And by that, I would say it would be the same triangle in the midfield that's when you would have to play Menu, Ugarte, and Casemiro. And then Bruno was a number 10, and then Xerxes and Hoyland up front. And then when they do go, or even Xerxes and Rashford up front, or Rashford and Hoyland up front. So when they do go forward, they have the ability to drift wide to then make it, and then have Bruno play a false 9, so it ends up looking like a 4-3-3 and they go forward. But I just think with the personnel at United and the way they've played, I don't think a 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1 or even, I don't think United could play 2 up front, just because it would throw off the entire structure of the team defensively that we were just criticizing last season, or last week and last season.
Yeah.
It would leave the midfield 2 just exposed, and it would limit the involvement of, I believe, the wing backs to get involved. Like, so if you had Shaw coming back, I don't think he'd be able to venture too far forward, because if he gets caught out of position, you have 2 forwards already up, and you've got Bruno supporting him. That's 4 players already up at the top of the pitch, and then you're going to have to sit there and make sure that everyone else is being honest and diligent to their job. And right now, based on what I've seen, I don't think United should even, like you mentioned earlier, if it's not broken, why try to fix it? Let's just keep riding the wave that they have going on right now.
Yeah.
And if we end up seeing a team that could potentially play two up front against, great. I don't think we'd ever see the old school 4-4-2 that, for lack of a better term, like Man City sometimes looks like they play a 4-4-2, but because there's so much movement off the ball, it's hard to even say what formation they play.
Yeah.
Because there's times when you have Kyle Walker sitting in the midfield, and you've got John Stones who's playing centre back, but then he looks like a centre defensive midfielder. So Pep Guardiola is a mad scientist that seems to think that everything needs to keep changing and moving, which you can't really argue with him when he's winning trophies left and right every season.
Yeah,
but for United, I don't think we'll ever see 2 up front. What we might see is a Hoyland up front and a Xerxes maybe left wing, or a Xerxes right wing, or something like that, or even
something like that. Yeah.
Even as it depends on what team we play against, we might end up seeing Xerxes as a like a supporting striker, meaning that you've got Hoyland playing as a number 9, and then Xerxes playing almost like a false 9, like number 10 role, and Bruno slotting in the centre midfield with Ugarte and Casemiro, or Menu and Casemiro, or Menu and Ugarte and behind him, and then Rashford or whoever else out wide. It's one of those situations I don't know what United's going to do once everyone's back. It's a good conundrum to have, because
I was going to say I wouldn't know, or at least not recently.
Yeah, well, not this time last year, but there was a point last season where United were pretty much Frankensteining their way through the season.
Oh, in terms
of starting 11.
Yeah, I mean, we had, I feel like we saw a lot of different things last year. Casemiro at center back. I mean, there was all kinds of crazy things that happened last year.
Like Bruno playing center back against Liverpool, Anthony playing left back.
God, I forgot about that. Jesus.
So United definitely. Ten Hag was definitely Dr. Frankenstein in that team last season. So I think that's why he went out and brought in the players he's done. I think he likes to have I'll say depth in that midfield, because of the fact that the midfield is supposed to be our engine.
It's playing out because we've already we went into the season obviously down Shaw and Malacia, but I mean we lost Lenny Yoro right out the bat, and so I mean you can never have enough squad depth. I mean it goes without saying.
Yeah, and Yoro's an interesting one as well, because I think United brought him on, and there's all these crazy reports going out there that Real Madrid have said that they have an agreement with Euro that he signed for United now, but then he's going to sign for them after the 2026 World Cup. And they have an agreement or whatever. But I think what's going on here, I believe Ten Hag brought him on because Johnny Evans isn't going to be around this time next year.
No.
It wouldn't surprise me if Maguire was to be at United this time next year. just with the fact that they signed DeLitt and they have Euro and Meridian Martinez there. Maguire might stay to be the fourth centre back. I know Lindelof will be gone.
Yeah.
So without all that being said, it's going to be interesting to see how Ten Hag really implements each player and how he implements them, not just like when he implements them, but how he's going to really implement them to be productive for the team. I'm more interested to see how he integrates Højlund back in the team, because let's be honest, if Xerxes starts putting these chances that he gets away,
well, I was gonna
Højlund might not even see the pitch.
Well, I was gonna say, if Xerxes starts just banging goals away left and right, again, like we, spent the first 50 minutes talking about, keep the hot hand, like just keep riding with it until it doesn't work.
Yeah, and the one thing that, and this is, I don't ever want to put a blight on it, but it almost takes me back to when we were growing up, back in like whenever United had Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez, and Berbatov.
Oh, I know.
Playing, and everyone was saying, well, how's Ferguson going to implement these four players? So Berbatov is a different dynamic than Rooney. Rooney is very similar to Tevez, and Ronaldo's he's on his own.
Yeah.
He's on a completely different stratosphere than everybody else, and he got it done. So it's now, I think the way Ineos are looking at him is like, all right, Eric, we went out, we got the players you wanted, we went out, and now you've got pretty much two players at every position outside of left back. That you can now create a team that's going to be successful.
That you envision.
Yeah. So it's up to him now to really implement it, and we'll see what happens this weekend with Crystal Palace. United, as I said, United owed them one for the 4-0 drubbing last season. That's a good transition into, before we sign off tonight. Obviously, getting beat 4-0 last year. What do you expect the team to line up for this game on Saturday? I think it's going to be very similar to the team we've seen against Southampton. I'm hoping it's going to be a better start than they did against Southampton.
Yeah.
I know he rested Manu completely today. Like Manu wasn't even on the bench. It was on the bench.
Yes, he was.
It was on the bench, but he wasn't even. I don't even think he was even considered to go on the pitch. I
don't think I saw him warm up at all.
Yeah, so I think that was because we mentioned earlier a previous podcast, maybe even the one before, that Manu looks a little leggy from obviously playing in the Euros for England.
Yeah.
Maybe but I wouldn't surprise me if we might see. I don't know if we'll see the midfield's going to be interesting, because is he going to start Eriksen again? Eriksen played well the last two matches. Is he going to play Eriksen again, or is he going to go ahead and play Ugarte to shut down? Because Crystal Palace does have Eze. He's playing pretty well. He's always playing well. Rumors are United are going to activate a £68 million release clause.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. I would like to see, I still would like to see Eriksen, just because of he is definitely that common presence in the midfield that United need in terms of keeping possession. Casemiro, he does well at that, but there's too many times he gives the ball away. I haven't seen enough of Ugarte. From what I've seen of Ugarte, I really like. I like the fact that he's mobile enough. He gets stuck in. He seems to read the game really well, in terms of cutting the angles off for passes, and he always seems to be in the right place at the right time. But it's just like we've been just talking about for the last 15 minutes. There's so many players that I don't think there's going to be many Man United players on people's fantasy teams. I can tell you that much, just because there's no guarantee they're going to play.
Yeah, probably not.
Outside of Bruno.
Bruno. Bruno's going to be. He's
Bruno and Nana.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a two guarantee. If you have those two, you're okay. But
because you run through this lineup is like, you don't know Xerxes, especially when Hurling comes back, or is Ten Hag going to put Bruno up top sometime? I mean, you never know.
Yeah. Well, I think, and we talked about it. We talked a little bit about it earlier. We're sort of reverting back, but with Casemiro and the support that Ten Hag showed him by giving him the captaincy, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a start.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially, like you say, because that's a big move, and especially after coming off the clunker he had against Liverpool. So I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see him start on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. So He might start. But again,
would you start? Assuming Casemiro's in the lineup, are you starting Mano, or would you have Ugarte, or who would you rather see out there?
I don't know. At this point, I would love to see. For all we know, Casemiro did play all 90 minutes today, but I don't know if that might be just a fitness thing that Ten Hag wanted him to go on there and just prove he can play 90 minutes. Or is he going saying, all right, you're going to get 90 minutes today because you're not going to get 90 minutes on Saturday?
On Saturday? That is possible, yeah.
And then Ugarte, Ugarte played, 60-something minutes before he came off for Bruno?
Yeah.
So, I think it might be, it probably more like Manu's going to play. I think he rested Manu to get his legs, to get some rest on. I think we'll see Manu there. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Manu, Casemiro, and Bruno in the midfield. And then if it doesn't work, then Ten Hag's going to say, okay, plan A out the door, plan B is going on. So more than likely, I'll probably take off, Manu again, or maybe even Casemiro for Ugarte, and Eriksen, bring him on. But I think Eriksen's also played himself into the role, into the possibility of starting as well. Just because the last two matches he played really well.
The last few matches he's had, he's definitely deserves to be in the conversation for sure.
Yeah. So I get it. It's only everyone's going to say it's only Southampton, only Barnsley, but you can only beat who's in front of you. And Eriksen's put his best foot forward by being that common presence in the midfield that United sort of missed over the last. Though Brighton, they couldn't hold on the ball. Same thing with Liverpool. They were pressing United high, and United just didn't have the answer for it. So we'll see. But we'll definitely see. The one thing I want to make sure United set up a midfield because Crystal Palace do have a bit of an engine. Like I mentioned, there is a player to watch. I think he's a class little player. I think he's and obviously they lost Elise to Bayern. He actually scored today in the Champions League. But with all that being said, I want to see a team that's actually going to continue this good feel ride, if you will. The momentum. I don't want them to all of a sudden just, because that was the number one thing we've been saying for the longest time about United under Ten Hag, is that they seem to, every time they feel like they're catching some momentum and they're playing well and they're getting some form in place, all of a sudden they just come off hard.
It was like last year, December and all that, was okay, and then they just crashed and nosedived hard in the second half of that season.
Yep, exactly. So we will see what happens. I'm hoping the momentum still goes. It's a good dilemma to have, the fact we don't know what team's going to play. Whereas this time, 6 months ago in the league, we were sitting wondering like what players do we have available? Never mind. Who's not injured?
Yeah, exactly. Who's a body that we can put out there?
Yeah. But yeah, it will be interesting just because the fact that with Crystal Palace, the one thing that I will say that this is going to be the first time United play against a team that they don't play a flat back four.
Yeah, they are
3-4-3.
3-4-3 is what I was just looking at. Yeah.
So they play 3-4-3. So naturally, they're going to have the midfield's going to be a little bit congested. And I said Eze is one of those players. He's got the free role. On paper, they always make him look like he's playing like left wing or right wing or whatever. But he has this free role that it's very difficult to understand where he's going to be. He seems to just pop up everywhere. And that him and Olise last season just absolutely destroyed United. So this year we'll see what happens. They definitely, the United have to be a little bit more conservative and going forward, just because Crystal Palace do have some good forwards.
They do, and especially that it is an away game. I would be okay with a draw this weekend. I think that would be an acceptable result. Of course, obviously, I want to get the 3 points, but I would be happy with a draw. Wrapping up the week, especially the last 3 games. I think that would be a good way to end the week.
It will be, but at the same time, I think that just on how United's played the last 2 matches, I think that if anything, Crystal Palace, they drew with Leicester 2 each, and they actually snuck a goal at the end. They were getting beat by Leicester, I believe at home. So they're definitely beatable. And they had to score like a 91st or 92nd minute equalizer. But the one thing I will say, they are dangerous going forward. They have 3 really good players. It's what's his name again? Came from over from Arsenal, and Nketiah. They came in from Arsenal, and then they have Mateta and, as was mentioned, Eze. The 3 players that they're quick. They'll definitely if they get the chance, I think they'll definitely take them. So United have to be a little bit more diligent. They can't start the way they did against Southampton. If they start the way they did against, how do you even say, Liverpool, for example, they looked really well the first 10, 15 minutes against Liverpool, even 20 minutes. That's the kind of consistency. But the problem is, have to find that consistency all the way through for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I'm not expecting United to go in there and play balls to the wall, like from kickoff to final whistle. But no, I don't like to see these ebbs and flows of United going through matches, and it's almost like going through the motions. And they're also going up against their former goalkeeper, and Dean Henderson, who might have a point to prove, considering that Ten Hag didn't really see a future for him there. So
yeah. Well, before we sign off, D, what's your score prediction for Saturday?
We're predicting. Let's see. I'm going to say 3-1 United to this one. I think Palace will get one. I think United aren't going to keep a clean sheet, but I do think United. I think what'll happen is United will go up like it'll be like. I think it'll be like 1-0 United, then 1 each, and then 2-1, and then I think United will catch Palace on the break as they go forward to try to search for an equalizer.
Late, yeah.
I want to say, and then I'm hoping Ten Hag makes the right decisions and makes substitutions, because sometimes he still makes these head scratchers that don't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think you're gonna say 3-1. I'm gonna go 2-1, and I guess we're all getting together Saturday at a local bar around here to watch the game. D, before we sign off, give your social a quick plug.
On Instagram, it's good old dc.mcguigan.
And I am at KeithIp86, and we will talk to you guys next week. Hopefully it is a victory in Selhurst Park. And thanks for listening to the Biggie and Smalls podcast. Also, if you feel inclined to subscribe, leave us a review, tell us how much you love us or don't like us, whatever you want. We updated our logo for you. You can tell us how beautiful we look, especially me, right, D? And
no, definitely. You all the help you can get.
Yeah, true story. Oh boy. Stories about that off the podcast. We'll end the podcast there. Have a good night, everybody.